Hey you, so on this video, will there be barter in a currency collapse? I'm going to be talking about just that. An individual contacted me on one of my recent videos inquiring about the best coins for barter, and I've said it before in a video I've done on this, I'm always going to see junk silver or fractional silver as your best option should we be in a situation with barter. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on the whole entire barter thing in general. Now, for me, I guess I find a time and place where we're going to be bartering hard to believe. And I say that because since I've been alive, I've always gone about, when we're talking about a means of exchange, exchanging fiat for whatever it is that I've been interested in. So I've gone to a shop or paid for a service or a product with fiat. When it comes to barter, for me, I wouldn't say, well, I would. I find it hard to believe that we're going to be in a situation where we're reverting back to Stone Age, in a sense, because no matter how you look at it, barter is always going to be the longest form of tradition of human beings exchanging a service or a product. You know, once upon a time before fiat came along, you was either changing goats or camels or whatever, and the likes of, you know. So when I say I find it hard to believe, it's just in the current climate that we're in and the times that we're in. I find it hard to believe. For me, the way I view and see it is, even if we had a currency collapse, I feel governments, or, you know, the world leaders, some people call them world leaders, would want a situation where they would want ease on the streets sooner than later. Now, whether they'll get that, you never know. There's always going to be those that, you know, will thrive and take full advantage of the unrest with people moaning and grumbling and mumbling, but it'll work in everybody's favor if we get more of a balanced, quiet, just sweep over transition from whichever currency, or if all currencies in one were to crash. Now, where I see it hard to believe is that if we get a scenario where the currency crashes and they've lost full control, in that they can't control the individuals, you know, trucks ain't delivering, everything's at a standstill. That type of scenario I really don't want to envision. You know, I've had individuals always say, you know, come that time, I'm not going to want your gold and silver, I'm going to want a loaf of bread. Now, me personally, I've taken that into account also. I have stacked freeze-dried food as much as I've stacked metals, and it was the only thing my partner was rather furious with me doing at the time, because that was seen as an absolute waste, whereas with the metals come a pinch, or I can sell for a profit, and the likes of the freeze-dried food is a one-shot deal. You know, I can always sell it come a crash time or something, or at a later date. But it's something I would say, once you take those kind of levels, if you're not all on the same page, individuals will start looking at you like a cuckoo. You know, I don't go around telling my friends, hey, I've got, you know, cupboards full of freeze-dried food. But it's one of those things that I instantly saw as an insurance. I've mentioned before, the last thing I want is my kids looking at me should we see a situation and me not having no answers for them. Like, you know, I'm about to go out there like Highlander and see what I can get. So I'd sooner be in a situation where I'd sooner have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that's my views on freeze-dried food. So I've taken the case where I have prepared for the situation should we see barter. Now, the way I see it is, you'd see a crash inevitable, you know, but it could be a smooth crash where we get the collapse and then they implement new whatever, whether it's fiat or some type of virtual digital cryptocurrency, and then we move on from there. You could get a situation where products are rationed, you know, in your local Walmart or Sainsbury's or Tesco's and the likes of, and, you know, individuals can only buy a set amount of certain things. That's the worst I see it getting. If we have a situation worse than that, I personally don't want to be out there, you know, with the silver I'm displaying now, fractional pieces, you know, at the local food market, farmer's market, and saying, well, hey, I've got ounces for days, let's work something out, you know, because one, the way I see it, the individual you're purchasing off may not even know what the hell you have there. Now, it's different in the UK. I'm talking from a UK perspective here, but because we're in a situation, just like the rest of the world, where the many won't have, they may not be on the same page that we're on when we're stacking metals or stacking food and the likes of. And if they don't have, and they're put in a situation where they're going to need and want, I have no doubt in my mind they're going to go out and take. So I envision the scenery where you're not going to have the same type of order that an individual could go out now if he raises chickens or whatever, a personal farmer to a farmer's market, and be able to sell his product and get that same type of security from the environment around him. So these are the kind of things I see, and this is why I don't want to be in a situation where I even have to go out and barter. I know it works different in the US. You guys are armed to the teeth. I envy you for that. You know, you have the right to protect yourself and, you know, your family and well-being. And if you was in a situation where there was a small bartering community, everybody's going to be armed. So it could be an even worse situation where individuals not armed come to try and take the goods of the individuals armed. But that's neither here nor there. It's just a situation that I can't see it being a very good, you know, as pleasant as is. And it's one of those things I was explaining last time when I say I need to not envision the bartering situation in the same peaceful climate that we have now, because it could be something where it would be, you know, like, what's the name now, when they was smuggling rum back in the days and you have to go down to someone's dark cellar and hand them a couple of ounces of silver and they'd give you some toilet roll and a few eggs. It would be more so like that. But in the end of the day, if society breaks down, you're always going to have individuals that may have stock and, you know, they may want to trade for whatever. Who says it's going to be silver and gold? You know, it may be food for food or service for service, I guess. In an environment like that, ladies of the night will really thrive. You know, they have the product that's always giving, you know. So, you know, if we're thrown back into the Stone Age, it's a situation where for me, I can't envision it, but I do envision it being more of a Mad Max scenario if it should happen. I stacked all of these coins. I purchased all of these coins at the time. I did have my tinfoil hat on real tight, I must say. You know, you've always got to own it if that's the situation. We never know what can happen, you know, when the time comes and I'm trying to give an individual one of these fractional silver coins here for a loaf of bread or something of the likes of. But just for the fact that I'm stacking precious metals, I'm aware that our government is absolutely out of control. You know, world debt, you know, the whole planet of the governments is drowning in debt. And it is most definitely a possibility that it can happen. And this is one of the reasons why I stacked the best silver for a bar situation, which is the UK fractional silver. And, you know, I've stacked the freeze-dried food. If I was just stacking the metals, bullion and gold, silver, it would be a situation where I expect the crash to come. It will happen, they'll shoot up, protect my wealth, and we will move on from there. But it being a definite possibility, one, I find hard to see and believe, but it most definitely being a possibility, I have to prepare for it. It's just one of those things. Purchasing these silver coins, when I did purchase them, when I got into stacking early, was at a great price. It's nothing to lose. I'm sure I could sell these on at a later date, as I've mentioned. But I've done this video here to just give my views on how I see barter and how I envision it playing out. I personally don't want to be out there unless I absolutely need to. I know out in places like Venezuela and Argentina, you know, in Venezuela, they're going down to the local zoo, like they're going up and down shopping aisles and they're snatching a horse or a hippo here and there. So I have no doubt, should we see that scenario, I'm not going to be out there like, hey, I'll be back home in a minute, kids, you know, see you soon. I'm out to go buy a new Rolex or a car and just, you know, take everybody's goods and, you know, give them some fractional silver for it. You're going to be competing with the majority who have nothing, and who, if they don't have no other means or nothing to barter with, they're going to be taken. So it's one of those situations where I don't see it being very pleasant, but it is most definitely a possibility. So I have to stack and prepare and take some course of action. It's been a very minimal amount. You know, I've purchased junk silver and that was it. And I purchased this junk silver purely for the fact of, should we see a scenario where we're bartering, this is what I'll be using. I've heard individuals put options out there like, you know, come that time, if individuals are taking silver and gold, and I don't see why they wouldn't, because it always reverts back to real money since the beginning of time. You could, you know, get some heavy duty cutters out, cut this in 4 quarters, an individual that knows whatever they're dealing with, because on top of, you know, a product for a product, there's going to have to be some form of money. People have tally systems. I've seen a documentary where they was doing a system where an individual had something and they was just taking down notes, and it was more of an IOU type of system. So I think just having any metals in general, not specifically fractional. Fractional does have its downsides, you know, it's unpure, it's not pure. So whereas something like this, 4/9 could easily be cut and the individual knows they're getting pure silver, it just needs to be some form of a 1/4 of an ounce. But it's not something I personally have at the top of my list, and it's like, you know, any moment now. I'm not so much doomsday because I want to stay positive and look at the bright side. I've mentioned before I have kids and I want to see the best outcome for them. You know, daddy's taking care of everything, but I don't want it to be the most absolute worst case scenario. And that's just the way I envision and see bartering happen, should we see it. I have no doubt, because there's been, you know, scares here and markets have had to hold back. I've seen situations where individuals were getting crazy buying water at one point, and you had individuals in the car park marking up the water by many folds. Now what happens there, and what inevitably going to happen again, is you'll find those individuals that wasn't as quick on the draw turning on the individual that chose to take the water after they'd purchased it all from the supermarket and try to sell it on, marking up the price a lot more. You're going to get accused of price gouging and you will get lynched. So it's a situation where I don't really want to be a part of the whole hustle and bustle. I just want to be able to take the cautions now and the precautions now to stack whatever I will need for me and my family and my friends and loved ones, and move forward from there. But it's going to be interesting to see how you see bartering playing out. Of course, in the US, you guys are armed to the teeth, so it's a different scenario. Will you be locking yourself in with your bullets and the likes of? That's most definitely a bartering option I could see. Definitely bullets and the likes of. In the UK, it is what it is. We have to use or get creative when we want to defend ourselves and our family. But the only measures we could really take is purchasing whichever type of long shelf life food we can, and fractional silver, just normal silver, however you see it, and moving forward from there. But it'd be great to see how you guys envision bartering. What currency do you think is going to be the best in bartering? Will it be, you know, food for food? Will it be, you know, service for service? Will it be, I don't know, you know, anything, how you see what's going to be the best currency for bartering, and how do you see bartering playing out? Do you think it's something we won't see? It will just smooth over. We'll get a currency collapse, or, you know, a recalculation in the price of metals, and we can skip that overall fact. But one way or the other, ultimately, if we are in a situation like that, I don't see it being pretty at all. I see it being very bleak and very bad. So it'd be fantastic to hear how you guys see bartering, and leave your thoughts and comments from there. So hey, I love it, guys. It'd be great to know what you think about this in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to come follow me on the link that I left in the description, the links. And I'll catch you guys on the rebound.